Good afternoon, everyone. Today's presentation extended spectrum beta lactamase, understanding the threat. In this talk, I'll be talking about introduction to ESBL, mechanism of its resistance, and addressing the challenges which we are facing because of it. Beginning with a question, which of the following antibiotics is considered the first choice for treating infection caused by ESBL producing bacteriaceae, Enterobacteriaceae? Four options are ceftazidime, piperazole, carbapenem, fosfomycin. The next question is, what is the predominant genotype of ESBL reported in South Asian countries such as Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan? Whether it's BLA-TEM, BLA-SHV, BLA-CTXM15, or BLA-OXA. The next question is, which diagnostic method is recommended by CLSI? Whether it is double disc synergy test, real-time PCR, MALDI-TOF MS, or broth dilution method. To find answer to these questions, we need to discuss. So the last question is, what is the major risk factor for the transmission of ESBL producing bacteria from animals to humans? Whether it's inhalation of aerosols in hospital ICUs, overuse of carbapenems in human medicine, consumption of undercooked meat and improper food handling, or direct contact with contaminated water sources. I hope you must have found your answers. Let's see how many of us are correct. So before discussing the answer, I'll move on to explain what is an ESBL. The full form is extended spectrum beta lactamase, and they are enzymes produced by bacteria which make them resistant to all beta lactam antibiotics, namely penicillin, cephalosporins, monobactams, and sometimes carbapenems. So it matters because it poses a significant threat to public health because of its resistance. There are several classifications of ESBLs available. For example, Ambler classification, which is based on molecular structure. It is in 4 subcategory A, B, C, D. Then there is a functional classification by Bush, Jacobi, Medros. But nowadays, we are using something which has been recently proposed. So like you see, Ambler have 4 subcategories and Bush has 3 subcategories. Group 2 of Bush includes all ESBLs. The recently proposed category or classification of ESBL are ESBL-A, ESBL-M, ESBL-Carba, and some rare ESBL. In ESBL-A, you have predominantly three subcategory. They would be SHV, TEM, CTXM. These are the genetic nomenclature based on the sequences. As you could make out, Temonera, which is also called as TEM, has 140 subtypes. SHV is sulfhydryl reagent variable. It has 60 subtypes, and CTXM, that is cefotaxime, has 80 subtypes. To begin with, ESBL-A were only resistant to penicillin and lower grade cephalosporins, sparing generation 3rd and 4th cephalosporins. But later on, these beta-lactamases started hydrolyzing oxyamino cephalosporins, which are 3rd and 4th generation as well. Coming to ESBL-M, which is miscellaneous, it has further subclassified with class C, class D, and OXA. Class C is AMP-C, class D, and then OXA ESBL. Mind you, OXA ESBLs are also partly divided into ESBL CARBA as well. The third subcategory of ESBL CARBA is CARBA A, CARBA B, and CARBA D. And some rare ESBLs like PER, VEB, GES, IBCs are also classified. If you look at the historical context, ESBLs were first discovered in 1960s, just after the introduction of penicillin, the commercial market. So this is a bacterial adaptation to antibiotics. And it has evolved now to even include CARBA penems. And hence it's become life-threatening for us. This is something from South Asian data, where if we look at India and the prevalence of ESBL, as you could make out, it's 25 to 70%, and the organism responsible is E. coli, and the beta-lactamase responsibles are CTXM15. If you further look at some of the data, the organisms, if you look, is E. coli from India, whether it is north, south, Bihar, or overall, and the prevalence is varying and reaching up to 86% in stool. So it is quite a threat. So we'll talk of mechanism of resistance. How does it do? How the bacteria produces an enzyme which takes care of beta lactam. So it can be either an enzymatic breakdown, like we have mentioned about Ambler classification. So it simply hydrolyzes beta lactams either in two-step process or a single-step process. And the likelihood of genetic transfer, which is also called as mobile genetic elements, they can be either by transduction, conjugation, and transformation. So there are three possible ways of genetic transfer, that is horizontally transferred. The epidemiological impact of ESBL spread is these bacteria cause highly virulent infection. They complicate treatment options and hence increase the cost of treatment. And healthcare settings play a crucial role in transmission of these resistant bacteria, maybe because of inadequate sanitation, overcrowding, frequent antibiotic use. The proposed spread of ESBL, which has become a pandemic, is, as you could make out, water becomes the central reservoir for spread. As your sewage drains into lakes, ponds, surface water, and animal reservoir becomes the carrier. Even domestic pet animals carry ESBLs in their colon, and they transmit this to humans either because of meat intake, milk, or their feces.
अच्छा क्या माहौल है भाई
सर
मजे में
कुछ कुछ करते रहते सर।
चलिए करिए करिए एक से दोस्त है
वो तो देख लिया था आपने, मेरा कुछ नहीं पुराना ही है, अभी तो पढ़ ही नहीं पा रहे कुछ, अभी तो कुछ दिन से।
योगी
हाँ वो पढ़ लिया
लाहिड़ी महाराज की
हाँ
है ना
हाँ